Before humans fully understood the power of this predator. Before science could even explain the brutal order of the savanna, there already existed a world where power was decided in every single battle. Across the vast grasslands of Africa, lions do not just hunt, they also confront. Across the wide grasslands of Africa, lions are not only hunters, they also confront rivals. They defend their land and constantly protect their dominance. Every encounter becomes a test of survival. The fight to stay at the top of the food chain never truly stops. It is a world built on strength, violence, and no mercy, the African lion. Welcome to Wild Earth Discovery. If you're enjoying these raw wildlife moments, like the video and subscribe for more powerful nature documentaries. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We read them all. Together, let's begin. At the peak of the dry season, the sun scorches everything in its path. Temperatures rise above 40 degrees Celsius, turning the land into a burning furnace. Water evaporates almost 3 times faster than the rainfall can replace it. But the lions are not the only ones drawn to what remains. All life gathers at the last sources of water. And in this place, even survival becomes a risk. The weak are quickly exposed in the savanna. There are no second chances here. Life begins to collect its debts, and the mother lioness shows no mercy when survival is on the line. She must hunt relentlessly, not for glory, but to feed her cubs. Together, let's begin. At the peak of the dry season, the sun scorches everything in its path. Temperatures rise above 40 degrees Celsius, turning the land into a burning furnace. Water evaporates almost 3 times faster than the rainfall can replace it. But the lions are not the only ones drawn to what remains. All life gathers at the last sources of water. And in this place, even survival becomes a risk. The weak are quickly exposed in the savanna. There are no second chances here. Life begins to collect its debts. And the mother lioness shows no mercy when survival is on the line. She must hunt relentlessly, not for glory, but to feed her cubs. At the very moment death reveals its power, the antelope slips away from a 1,000-kilogram bite. For a brief second, it escapes the jaws of disaster. But the nightmare is far from over. Something inside the Nyala has changed. Overwhelming fear has turned into raw ferocity. 10 minutes of relentless struggle. The final limit has been reached for both predator and prey. At last, the lioness chooses to retreat. She understands that no meal is worth the risk. A single fatal wound could bring her reign to an end. In the savanna, every life comes at a cost. Nothing survives without sacrifice. Far to the north, the Okavango spreads across the heart of the Kalahari Basin. Born from storms deep within the remote highlands of Angola, the water begins its journey. For more than 4 months, it travels over 1,000 kilometers. When it finally reaches Botswana, carrying 11 trillion liters of water, it wipes away 15,000 square kilometers of dust and gives rise to a breathtaking paradise. One of nature's greatest contradictions, the Okavango reaches its peak flood precisely during the harshest thirst of the Kalahari. That cruel twist of nature has shaped extraordinary hunters, warriors capable of pursuing prey through the heart of the current, a hunting instinct rarely witnessed anywhere else on Earth. And when the boundary between land and water vanishes, predator and prey are drawn into a struggle with no turning back. The dry season has stripped the land of its green cover, leaving only roots and tubers hidden beneath the soil. Unlike most grazing herbivores, the warthog feeds on these underground reserves. Its short neck and powerful muscles make the task possible. Over time, thick calluses have formed on the joints of its front legs. They allow it to kneel for hours while feeding on mineral-rich grass, or digging through dry mud in search of succulent roots. But such focus comes at a cost. The lioness watches carefully, knowing her target is far from defenseless. Through a natural self-sharpening process, the warthog's tusks become deadly weapons. The queen of the savanna respects those blades. Yet she still underestimates the speed hidden beneath that rugged body. Inside that compact frame, powerful fast-twitch muscles explode into action. Within moments, the animal reaches speeds of nearly 48 kilometers per hour. A sudden shift in balance confuses the predator's attack in a fraction of a second. 7:09. While lionesses continue to fail elsewhere, a male lion chooses a far more daring target. 7:19. His eyes lock onto a wildebeest. It is April, and the migration is consumed by the rutting season. Ancient instincts surge through the herd. 7:39. The wildebeest survives through numbers. The endless movement and sheer mass of the herd form a living shield against predators. But eventually, every river of life is forced through a narrow passage. The bend of the Sand River becomes a perfect natural trap, and one unfortunate wildebeest pays the price for the future of a dynasty. Here, survival is a ruthless gamble, where victory belongs only to those willing to risk everything. The Cape buffalo reigns across southern and, with a body mass reaching 900 kilograms, it dominates the landscape. To sustain such immense power, it must drink between 30 and 40 liters of water each day, and rarely ventures far from rivers. 8:58. The layer of mud covering its body serves as living armor. It helps regulate body temperature beneath the scorching 40-degree heat. At the same time, it forms a protective barrier against parasites. But today, the greatest threat is not an insect. It is a pride of 9 hungry lions. Yet the predators have forgotten the strength of their opponent. Endurance is the buffalo's greatest weapon. 4 relentless hours. The giant slowly draws the predators toward deep water. And there, the rules of the battle change completely. Underwater, the lions lose their greatest advantage, while the buffalo answers with explosive counterattacks that turn the hunt upside down. The buffalo's strength has never depended on a single individual. Its power is reinforced by a highly organized society, forming enormous herds that can number in the thousands. To determine the direction of movement, the adult females cast their silent vote. From a scientific standpoint, the herd's final course emerges from the combined force of many decisions, a biological calculation shaped by the will of the majority. When the thunder of countless hooves reaches southwestern Kenya, the kingdom of Masai Mara welcomes them in absolute silence. Within the vast structure of the herd, small groups of mothers and calves occasionally break away to graze, and in doing so, they unknowingly create an opening for disaster. A vulnerable calf, sheltered beside its mother, becomes the perfect target, using the headwind to conceal their scent. The predators launch a classic pincer attack. Every move is calculated to separate the mother from her calf. The buffalo falls victim to overwhelming numbers, forced to choose between her own survival and the life of her offspring. The calf stands on the edge between life and death. Then the arrival of the male lion delivers the decisive blow. It is painful to witness, yet it remains the harsh and inevitable rhythm of this land. But the savanna is rarely a place of one-sided victories. Sometimes the prey changes the rules entirely. A desperate call for help triggers a collective defense. In many cases, the coordination of the herd and the force of hundreds of tons prove stronger than solitary claws. Buffaloes possess remarkable long-term memory and one of the strongest instincts for revenge in the wild. They can recognize and remember a predator long after an attack has ended, even organizing retaliatory ambushes. Lion against buffalo, the ultimate predator against the most relentless prey. Their endless conflict stands as proof of nature's fragile balance, a reminder that survival and unity are the greatest powers on the savanna. At the southern boundary of Kruger National Park, tropical storms sweeping in from the Indian Ocean can unleash over 200 millimeters of rain within hours. The Crocodile River may rise more than 5 meters without warning. The line between power and destruction is as thin as the flick of a tail. A young lion, his mane just beginning to grow, is about to make the greatest mistake of his life. He lacks the experience earned through countless flood seasons. This is the domain of the hippopotamus, massive giants driven by fierce territorial instincts. The young lion suddenly finds himself trapped in a world he cannot control. Beneath the surface, nearly 30 giants wait in silence. their enormous tusks already on display. Yet the buffalo's strength has never depended on a single individual. Its power is reinforced by a highly organized society, forming enormous herds that can number in the thousands. To determine the direction of movement, the adult females cast their silent vote. From a scientific standpoint, the herd's final course emerges from the combined force of many decisions, a biological calculation shaped by the will of the majority. When the thunder of countless hooves reaches southwestern Kenya, the kingdom of Masai Mara welcomes them in absolute silence. Within the vast structure of the herd, small groups of mothers and calves occasionally break away to graze, and in doing so, they unknowingly create an opening for disaster. A vulnerable calf sheltered beside its mother becomes the perfect target. Using the headwind to conceal their scent, the predators launch a classic pincer attack. Every move is calculated to separate the mother from her calf. The buffalo falls victim to overwhelming numbers, forced to choose between her own survival and the life of her offspring. The calf stands on the edge between life and death. Then the arrival of the male lion delivers the decisive blow. It is painful to witness, yet it remains the harsh and inevitable rhythm of this land. But the savanna is rarely a place of one-sided victories. Sometimes the prey changes the rules entirely. A desperate call for help triggers a collective defense. In many cases, the coordination of the herd and the force of hundreds of tons prove stronger than solitary claws. Buffaloes possess remarkable long-term memory and one of the strongest instincts for revenge in the wild. They can recognize and remember a predator long after an attack has ended, even organizing retaliatory ambushes. Lion against buffalo, the ultimate predator against the most relentless prey. Their endless conflict stands as proof of nature's fragile balance, a reminder that survival and unity are the greatest powers on the savanna. At the southern boundary of Kruger National Park, tropical storms sweeping in from the Indian Ocean can unleash over 200 millimeters of rain within hours. The Crocodile River may rise more than 5 meters without warning. The line between power and destruction is as thin as the flick of a tail. A young lion, his mane just beginning to grow, is about to make the greatest mistake of his life. He lacks the experience earned through countless flood seasons. This is the domain of the hippopotamus, massive giants driven by fierce territorial instincts. The young lion suddenly finds himself trapped in a world he cannot control. Beneath the surface, nearly 30 giants wait in silence, their enormous tusks already on display. They live within herds built upon unity, experience, and generations of inherited wisdom. Leading the group is the matriarch, the oldest and most experienced female in the herd. Within her memory are the routes to hidden water sources, vital lifelines during devastating droughts. She also carries the knowledge needed to recognize danger from afar. The entire herd remains connected through infrasound, low-frequency calls that travel beyond the limits of human hearing. These powerful signals can cross vast distances of open land. In the great arena of the savanna, the protection of the next generation stands above all else. A mother elephant carefully guides her most precious treasure, a vulnerable young calf. But an unexpected intruder appears. A rhinoceros, known for poor eyesight but an uncompromising temperament. It unknowingly makes a dangerous mistake. A blast of compressed air erupts from the elephant's massive lungs, traveling through the trunk as a thunderous warning call. The bellow can exceed 117 decibels. Its force creates a direct physical impact on the rhinoceros. The giant herbivore leaves no room for misunderstanding. The intruder quickly retreats. Before the confrontation becomes physical, a lesson learned at a heavy cost. Even 2 tons of rhinoceros muscle cannot challenge the protective instinct of a mother elephant. Yet in the shadows of the savanna, the line between predator and prey can reverse in an instant. A young lion cub, having already lost 2 siblings, now survives alone in a world without mercy. But an ancient enemy follows every trace of blood. The solitary young king faces a struggle between life and death. Like the rhinoceros, the elephant's eyesight is relatively limited. At first glance, it appears unaware of the motionless cub nearby. The reality is very different. Its remarkable hearing has already detected the calls of approaching hyenas. The giant herbivore becomes an unlikely protector. For the young lion, the African elephant briefly becomes an accidental savior. Yet in Chobe, where specialized lion prides hunt elephants, an elephant calf rarely escapes the circle of death. Even the desperate efforts of a devoted mother cannot always alter the outcome. Driven by grief and instinct, she continues to defend her fallen calf, long after life has already departed. It is a powerful display of loyalty to bloodlines and family, a reminder that in the wild kingdom, death does not always end a presence. The bond remains. So what truly makes the elephant great? Its extraordinary memory, or the family bond strong enough to sacrifice everything. Far to the north stretches a vast arid realm, spanning 11 nations and covering more than 9 million square kilometers, an expanse comparable to the entire European continent. This is the Sahara, the hottest desert on Earth. Daytime temperatures can soar beyond 50 degrees Celsius. Yet after sunset, they may plunge below freezing. This dramatic contrast generates immense convection currents. From them emerges the powerful harmattan wind. Waves of dry dust sweep across the desert, capable of hiding the sun itself. Within only a few hours, the entire landscape can be transformed beyond recognition. Despite these harsh conditions, the Sahara supports more than 500 species of plants and nearly 300 species of animals. Each of them possesses extraordinary adaptations for survival. The story of the dromedary is inseparable from the history of these ships of the desert. For centuries, they were the only means capable of linking distant civilizations. Across this endless sea of sand, the dromedary can survive even after losing more than 30% of its body weight, a threshold that would prove fatal for most other living creatures. The single hump upon its back serves as a vast reserve of stored fat. When food becomes scarce, the body gradually converts that fat into energy. At the same time, the process releases internal water, allowing the animal to hydrate itself from within. As a result, when water finally becomes available, a dromedary can consume up to 110 liters in only 10 minutes, without suffering osmotic shock. Its red blood cells can expand by nearly 400%, large eyes protected by long lashes, and a transparent third eyelid create an effective shield against sandstorms. Its narrow slit-shaped nostrils can open and close at will. This allows it to recover moisture from its own breath through a complex system of folded nasal passages. The Addax antelope is often called the ghost of the Sahara. Today, fewer than 500 individuals remain in the wild. During summer, their coats turn white or pale yellow, transforming the entire body into a reflective surface that helps deflect intense solar radiation. They become truly active only after darkness covers the desert. Meanwhile, the scimitar horned oryx is writing a different story. Once declared extinct in the wild, its downfall was driven by poaching and devastating droughts. But thanks to conservation efforts in Chad, Tunisia, and Senegal, nearly 160 adults are beginning to reclaim their ancient homeland. These animals can travel across the driest landscapes without drinking water for long periods. They achieve this remarkable feat by extracting nearly every drop of moisture from their food. Their diet consists of hardy grasses and drought-resistant herbs, plants that serve as natural reservoirs of water. When the day's scorching heat finally fades, and the Sahara exhales the freezing breath of night, another iconic resident emerges, the fennec fox, the smallest member of the canine family. Its enormous ears can account for nearly 20% of its body surface, a dual-purpose system that acts both as radar and as an efficient mechanism for releasing heat. These remarkable ears can detect the slightest vibrations of prey hidden beneath deep layers of sand. Beneath its paws are natural fur coverings that protect against the burning desert ground. Within the Sahara food chain, the fennec fox occupies the role of a secondary consumer. It hunts mice, insects, and lizards, yet must remain constantly alert. Larger predators are never far away. The Sahara cheetah, also known as the Northwest African cheetah, is the rarest and most mysterious subspecies of its kind. They have vanished from more than 20 countries, and fewer than 250 adult individuals remain today. As an apex predator, it obtains nearly all of its water through the body fluids of its prey. This adaptation allows it to survive for weeks without searching for open water. Unlike most of its relatives, the Sahara cheetah prefers to hunt under the cover of darkness, avoiding the crushing heat of the day. Its menu reflects a constant struggle for survival, and when hunger becomes severe, even a giant dromedary may become a potential target. The North African ostrich is among the most challenging prey available. This towering bird can maintain speeds of 70 kilometers per hour across long distances. Its powerful kicks are capable of ending the pursuit of even the most determined predator. The North African ostrich possesses an advanced system of temperature control. Special muscle groups lift and separate its feathers, creating channels that allow air to circulate directly across the skin. It can travel for days without drinking water, transforming the harshness of the desert into a way of life. Once found across 18 countries, its kingdom has now been reduced to only a handful of territories. Poaching and illegal egg collection have pushed this magnificent bird toward the edge of extinction. In the heart of the harsh desert, the West African crocodile survives within rocky crevices and isolated oasis systems. Genetic studies reveal that these crocodiles are entirely distinct from their larger Nile crocodile relatives. When the Sahara gradually transformed into a vast furnace, around 5,000 years ago, these populations became isolated. To survive in such extreme conditions, they evolved smaller body sizes, usually measuring only 1.5 to 2 meters in length. This adaptation reduced the demand for limited resources found within desert water pools known as geltas. As cold-blooded reptiles, they spend their days moving between intense sunlight and cool shelter to regulate body temperature. Unlike the hibernation seen in bears, they developed a remarkable survival strategy known as estivation. These crocodiles bury themselves beneath dry mud or retreat into cool caves. Their heart rate and metabolism slow dramatically, allowing them to endure until rare rains return. Far beyond the hidden oases and canyon refuges of these ancient reptiles, the Sahara stretches toward rocky plains and the borderlands of the Sahel. This is a fragile ecological zone where relentless desert heat slowly gives way to thorny scrublands and golden grass. It is here that increasingly complex social systems emerge. Within the ongoing symphony of survival, the Anubis baboon bears a striking resemblance to the ancient Egyptian guardian of souls. When resources become scarce across the desert, the intelligence of this primate becomes its greatest weapon. It can exploit almost any remaining source of nourishment. Its diet includes fruits, seeds, fungi, insects, and even small mammals. When the open plains rise into the rugged heights of the Atlas Mountains, another species claims dominion over the rocky kingdom. The Barbary sheep, also known as the Aouda, their massive curved horns, reaching lengths of up to 80 centimeters, serve not only as symbols of dominance during fierce territorial conflicts, but also as vital tools for survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. They feed on moisture-rich cacti, extracting every possible drop of water through internal metabolic processes. This remarkable adaptation allows them to endure for as long as 5 days without drinking directly. They achieve this through an efficient renal system, capable of concentrating urine to extreme levels, along with a tolerance for dehydration reaching nearly 20% of their total body weight. The existence of the Aoudad is deeply connected to the ancient traditions of mountain peoples, such as the Berbers. For generations, the Barbary sheep has stood as a symbol of endurance and freedom. Deep within the Adrar Plateau of Mauritania, a colossal eye measuring nearly 50 kilometers in diameter appears to stare endlessly toward the heavens. This is the Rikhat structure, better known as the Eye of the Sahara. For many, it is believed to be the lost remnant of Atlantis, the legendary golden city erased from human history. Despite scientific explanations pointing toward erosion, the similarities between the Rikhat structure and Plato's descriptions continue to fuel debate, enough to capture the imagination of millions. Plato described Atlantis as a city formed by concentric rings, alternating between land and water. Roughly 700 kilometers to the north rises the Atlas mountain range. Historical accounts record a ruler named Atlas, a name identical to the first king associated with Atlantis. Even some ancient maps appear to place traces of Atlantis near the coordinates of modern-day Mauritania. Marine fossils and whale bones discovered deep within the desert provide evidence that this region was once covered by ocean waters. These discoveries have strengthened theories of a flourishing civilization before the Sahara transformed, before the desert consumed everything in its path. Yet reality is often less romantic than legend. Modern researchers continue to raise an important question. If Atlantis truly disappeared beneath the sea in a single day and night, how could it now stand 400 meters above sea level and hundreds of kilometers from the nearest coastline? Many scholars argue that Plato's city should have existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules, not deep within the interior of Africa. So what do you think? What is the most convincing explanation for these remarkable coincidences? And did Atlantis ever truly exist? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Along the eastern boundary of the Great Desert, the Red Sea emerges as a vibrant yet demanding marine ecosystem. It is among the warmest and most saline bodies of water on Earth. Average salinity levels exceed 40 parts per thousand, driven by intense evaporation and the absence of significant freshwater input. Yet there is an interesting advantage hidden within these conditions. The Red Sea's high salinity increases buoyancy, allowing divers to float more easily and remain supported at the surface with less effort. The story of these waters is deeply connected to the maritime Silk Road and the ancient ports of Egypt. The Red Sea is a vast scar within the Earth's crust, an extension of the Great Rift Valley, where the African and Arabian plates first began to drift apart, a process that started tens of millions of years ago. Even today, this tectonic expansion continues. Far below the surface, hydrothermal vents constantly release heat from deep within the Earth, feeding a dramatic and extraordinary underwater ecosystem. Millions of years of geographical isolation have transformed the Red Sea into an independent evolutionary laboratory. Between 10 and 20% of its more than 1,200 fish species exist nowhere else on Earth. More than 1,000 species of invertebrates inhabit these coral reefs. Among them are over 175 species of nudibranch. Rocky crevices provide shelter for cuttlefish, octopuses, and numerous crustaceans. Among these inhabitants, the panther cowrie remains one of the region's remarkable endemic species. Its ability to tolerate extreme salinity allows it to transform harsh chemical conditions into a survival advantage. The shallow reef system supports an immense army of fish. Here, reef species display a dazzling festival of color, from the Red Sea clownfish hiding among venomous anemone tentacles, to butterfly fish, angelfish, surgeonfish, and the reef's tireless architects, the parrotfish. In this vibrant underwater world, the Pseudochromis friedmani, the blue-cheeked butterfly fish, and the masked pufferfish stand out. Yet this reef is also home to masters of camouflage and venom. The lionfish displays magnificent but highly venomous fin rays. The stonefish disappears into the reef, becoming almost indistinguishable from the surrounding rocks. Nearby, ready to unleash a lightning-fast strike across the sandy seabed, the leopard electric ray remains fully charged, turning its body into a powerful weapon for both defense and hunting. Samadai Reef is widely known as the House of Dolphins in Egypt. It is home to the spinner dolphin, a species famous for leaping 3 meters above the water and spinning up to 7 times in a single jump. Scientists believe these spectacular acrobatics create powerful impacts upon re-entering the water. This behavior may help remove parasites and layers of dead skin. More importantly, the sounds generated by these impacts appear to function as communication signals within the pod. In one of nature's most unusual spectacles, spinner dolphins are frequently observed riding waves, not in front of boats, but directly before the heads of giant marine creatures, taking advantage of the pressure zone and bow wave created by the immense mass of the largest fish on Earth. These intelligent dolphins glide effortlessly, surfing the moving wall of water across the Red Sea. An imposing force dominates the marine kingdom, represented by more than 44 species of sharks. Among the ocean's predators, the whale shark stands apart as a gentle giant. As the largest fish on Earth, it can reach lengths of up to 18 meters and weigh nearly 20 tons. To sustain such enormous mass within nutrient-poor waters, the whale shark regularly descends into the mesopelagic zone. There, water temperatures drop dramatically, slowing its metabolism and conserving valuable energy. Later, it returns to the surface to absorb warmth from the sunlit sea. The intense heat of the Sahara, falling upon the Red Sea, acts as a seasonal trigger. As summer temperatures rise, vast blooms of phytoplankton begin to develop. This is the moment when the whale shark arrives. As a specialized filter feeder, it relies on suction feeding and ram filtration. Its mouth, reaching up to 1.5 meters wide, can process more than 6,000 liters of water every hour. 20 specialized filtering plates trap plankton, tiny crustaceans, and fish larvae only millimeters in size, while excess water is expelled through the gills. But as temperatures begin to fall during the cooler season, a different ruler emerges. The age of the hammerhead shark begins, along the reef crests of the Strait of Tiran. Leading this remarkable lineage is the great hammerhead shark. Its distinctive hammer-shaped head functions much like an aircraft wing, creating lift and allowing rapid turns with extraordinary precision. More importantly, the expanded head provides an almost complete field of vision. It can monitor both above and below simultaneously, yet its greatest weapon remains hidden. Across that broad surface lie thousands of sensory pores known as the ampullae of Lorenzini. This remarkable electromagnetic system allows the shark to detect even the faintest electrical signals generated by the heartbeat of its prey. Although normally solitary hunters, during seasonal transitions, they often gather in mysterious formations, guided by forces that scientists are still attempting to understand. In the harsh world surrounding the Sahara, scarcity itself can become an advantage because no major rivers carry fresh water or sediment into the Red Sea. Sunlight penetrates deeply into the clear water. This supports an immense chain of fringing reefs, stretching for more than 2,000 kilometers. These reefs shelter over 340 species of hard coral and nearly 200 species of soft coral, particularly in the northern Red Sea. Many coral communities can withstand temperature increases of up to 5 degrees Celsius without suffering bleaching events. This has transformed the Red Sea into one of the planet's most valuable thermal refuges, a possible sanctuary for the future survival of coral ecosystems worldwide. Meanwhile, within the deepest abyssal regions, near underwater volcanoes, strange brine pools reach temperatures of 60 degrees Celsius. Oxygen is nearly absent, yet life persists. Extremophile microorganisms survive without sunlight, operating complex chemical pathways to fix carbon, metabolize iron and manganese, and neutralize toxic compounds. They endure in one of the most metal-rich and nutrient-poor environments on Earth. Silent travelers, sustaining vital planetary cycles, from the vibrant coral gardens above to the darkness of the deepest abyss. Life has never surrendered. It has simply evolved, a new language of survival, along the coasts of Egypt and Sudan. Mangroves are often called the kidneys of the ocean. This ecosystem exists in waters where average salinity exceeds 41 parts per thousand, among the highest levels found in the open sea. In conditions where the sediment contains almost no oxygen, specialized respiratory roots rise vertically from the mud, allowing the trees to absorb oxygen directly from the atmosphere. Through a highly efficient filtration system within their roots, they can block nearly 90% of the salt in seawater before it enters the plant's tissues. Beneath the canopy, the shallow waters support nearly 100 species of algae. These communities intertwine with colonies of cyanobacteria, among the oldest living organisms on Earth, which cling to roots and muddy surfaces. There they quietly perform the vital task of fixing nitrogen and nourishing the entire coastal ecosystem. The dense mangrove root network shelters the mudskipper, one of the strangest fish on the planet, capable of breathing air and moving across land like an amphibian. Beneath them, vast armies of crustaceans work without rest, constantly excavating and reshaping the soil. Together, they create an intense rhythm of life across the dark mudflats. While crustaceans labor below, the skies above belong to remarkable travelers. The white-eyed gull is a bird found almost exclusively within the Red Sea. These birds of exceptional conservation importance choose mangrove forests and untouched islands as safe sanctuaries for future generations. Their presence makes this region one of the most significant breeding grounds in the ecosystem. Yet herons remain the true rulers of this world, where the boundary between land and sea shifts with every tide. Among them, the Goliath heron stands as the largest heron species on Earth. Using low mangrove vegetation, they construct heavily protected nests. These natural fortresses rise above the saltwater, shielded from terrestrial predators, such as the golden jackal. Even more remarkable is the dimorphic egret. In a habitat where ultraviolet radiation reaches extreme levels, they endure relentless tropical heat, using their own bodies and wings to cast shade over their eggs. This behavior prevents developing embryos from overheating inside the nest. Living in a world where fresh water is exceptionally scarce, the dimorphic egret has evolved specialized salt glands located above the eye sockets. These glands actively remove excess salt from the bloodstream. Through a sophisticated transport process, the concentrated salt solution is then expelled through the nostrils as droplets. Because of this adaptation, they can safely drink seawater. With salinity levels exceeding 40 parts per thousand, they can also consume salt-rich prey among the mangrove roots without suffering dangerous dehydration. Hidden within the coastal mangrove thickets lives the striated heron, often known as the mangrove heron. Its exceptional camouflage allows it to thrive alongside the collared kingfisher. This highly specialized subspecies is found only within mangrove habitats, rather than nesting beside freshwater streams. It chooses cavities inside ancient mangrove trees. From there, it dives through the complex root network to hunt crabs, small fish, and other crustaceans hidden among the mangroves. And when the monsoon winds change direction, the mangrove system transforms into a vital green corridor, where more than 2 million migrating creatures return each year. Gray herons, great egrets, and purple herons exploit the sudden abundance of crustaceans and small fish hidden beneath the tangled root systems. They do this to rapidly refuel for the next stage of their journey. This is a process of biological refueling, occurring at extreme speed. The nutrients laboriously extracted from the Red Sea ecosystem are converted into layers of stored fat. These reserves provide the energy required for wings preparing to cross some of the harshest barriers on Earth. But it is not only water birds that return to this corridor. Migratory soaring birds, masters of thermal air currents, also use the mangroves as a staging ground. Steppe eagles and spotted eagles conceal themselves within the canopy, carefully observing every movement below. They pause here to avoid the extreme Sahara dust storms, waiting for the precise moment of departure toward the south. Since the era of the pharaohs, people along the Red Sea coast have regarded these forests as the soul of the shoreline, with carbon storage densities up to 4 times higher than terrestrial tropical forests. Mangroves act as powerful blue carbon reservoirs. They also protect fringing coral reefs from sediment carried in from the land. Their interlocking root systems form a hydrodynamic maze, reducing the energy of incoming storm waves by up to 70%. This is the ocean's nursery, where larvae of economically important species find complete protection from predators. However, rapid expansion of tourist infrastructure is placing increasing pressure on these green fortresses, creating a silent conflict between economic development and ecological stability. Beneath the calm waters of the Back Reef Zone, between ancient port cities and the untouched bays of Egypt, vast seagrass meadows stretch across the shallow seabed. They occur at depths of less than 20 meters, where sunlight is still strong enough to sustain one of the most productive ecosystems on the planet. Seagrass is unique among flowering plants, being the only group to have reversed its evolutionary path from land back into the ocean. Unlike algae, which attach only to rocks, seagrass develops true roots and rhizomes that grow with exceptional strength. These structures weave tightly beneath the sediment, forming a living framework that stabilizes the seabed, prevents coastal erosion, and filters suspended particles from the water. This is why back reef waters remain exceptionally clear, allowing photosynthesis to reach maximum efficiency. As a result, these meadows become vast carbon sinks, with absorption capacities up to 35 times greater than an equivalent area of tropical forest. Within this living green labyrinth, every organism becomes a master of adaptation. Here, the black-striped pipefish has evolved a specialized tail that allows it to anchor itself firmly to seagrass blades beneath their fins. The sandy seabed becomes the domain of echinoderms, from slow-moving sea cucumbers to dense colonies of sea urchins. However, this apparent stillness is soon broken when the ghosts of the ocean appear. In the Elphinstone region, the underwater sky belongs to the reef manta ray, with a wingspan that can reach up to 7 meters. Just above the sandy floor, another hunt unfolds. By continuously beating its flexible fins near the seabed, the eagle ray generates water vortices to uncover clams and snails buried in the sediment. Meanwhile, stingrays adopt a completely different strategy. They bury themselves entirely beneath fine sand in shallow waters, leaving only their alert eyes exposed to monitor approaching threats. In a kingdom where energy is an absolute luxury, seagrass meadows present a harsh feeding challenge. Very few animals possess the patience required to consume these tough, leathery leaves. Due to their extremely high cellulose content, this forms a biological barrier that most digestive systems cannot overcome. Yet in the Red Sea, there are always rare exceptions that defy all rules. The dugong is the only mammal here whose survival depends entirely on seagrass meadows. It possesses a specialized horseshoe-shaped snout and powerful, muscular lips, adapted for grazing. Alongside these giants, green turtles also appear. They do not simply graze on leaves. They uproot entire systems of nutrient-rich rhizomes hidden beneath the sand. These transoceanic travelers have existed since the age of dinosaurs. After surviving their first vulnerable year in open waters, when an omnivorous diet is essential for rapid growth, they transition into strict herbivores. They can reach lengths of up to 1.5 meters and weights approaching 200 kilograms. The green turtle spends hours grazing across lush seagrass meadows. Inside their gut, a specialized microbial ecosystem drives fermentation processes that break down cellulose-rich plant matter. This converts fibrous material into steady energy, fueling long transcontinental migrations. Here, coexistence follows a precise ecological rule: niche specialization. While green turtles dominate seagrass feeding zones, their relatives, the hawksbill turtles, occupy an entirely different niche. They venture deep into coral reef cavities to feed on sea sponges. This is a high-risk strategy, as sponges contain sharp silica spicules and potent chemical toxins. Yet hawksbill turtles have evolved an extremely resistant digestive lining, turning this dangerous food source into a unique survival advantage. The Red Sea is also a convergence zone for 5 major sea turtle lineages. Among them is the loggerhead turtle, with powerful jaws capable of crushing mollusk shells, and the shy olive ridley turtle. There is also the true giant of the open ocean, the leatherback turtle. Unlike hard-shelled relatives, the leatherback possesses flexible, leathery skin that allows it to dive up to 1,000 meters in pursuit of jellyfish. It withstands immense pressure and near-freezing abyssal temperatures. However, the fate of these ancient reptiles is increasingly threatened by human activity. Each year, from May to September, females begin their instinctive migration. They crawl across burning coastal sands along the edge of the Sahara to lay their eggs. Here, temperature-dependent sex determination begins. Higher sand temperatures produce a greater ratio of females. Rising global temperatures are disrupting this natural balance. creating a dangerous gender imbalance that threatens long-term reproductive stability.